Hello, Internet folk. Welcome back to Driving and Dragons as we continue our second deep dive into alignment in TTRPGs. I'm going to be moving the older videos to private soon. Some of them are just so bad that you can't even listen to them without getting a headache from the background noise, and I'd hate for an autoplay to ruin your enjoyment and your contemplation on these newer videos as we go in and recover this topic. Now we're going to start going forward with the actual individual alignments and what they really mean for the players. I'm going to start with the moral axis of the traditional 9-alignment system, and that's the good to evil axis. This is far and away the easier of the two axes to understand, and therefore it is also the best to prime a receptive mind to grasp the deeper concepts in the more nebulous ethical axis of law and chaos. While by no means perfect, the questions, is it good and is it evil, can often be answered with a yes or a no. While is it lawful or is it chaos often results in kind of an it depends type answer. There's a couple of refresher course items that need to go ahead first, a couple of clarification things. We've had a lot of great comments and questions on the last two alignment videos, but some of the statements and questions require pretty lengthy and nuanced responses to really dig into. So what I want to do is encourage everyone who is active in the comments to continue to read and respond in good faith, understanding that sometimes a comment may come across as condescending, defensive, or aggressive in text, when it really is just being blunt for the sake of brevity when you've got a relatively lengthy and complex topic you're trying to respond to. This hadn't been a problem in my channel at all. There's very little back and forth bad faith, insults, and stuff like that happens in our comment section. But at this point, it's just an ounce of prevention, pound of cure type thing. As we explore the facets of alignment, there's two things that really have to be kept in mind, and you'll hear me repeat them ad nauseum, so get ready. First, alignment's a 10,000-yard view. It's your character's Google Earth, not their Google Street View. Do not get wrapped up in individual actions. You can think of a character's alignment as a road trip. That's not a bad way to think of it. A drive from Atlanta, Georgia to Boise, Idaho, you would generally be traveling northwest, so you could say that that drive has a northwest alignment. That doesn't change the fact that I may turn south and go 6 blocks and then turn east and go half a mile just to get on the interstate. If you look at the journey as a whole, overall, it's northwest. I'm not going to say, oh, you turn south, that's not really your alignment. You need to find a way to turn northwest to keep going northwest. It's about the sum of the parts, not the individual integers that are part of the equation here. It's when my turns on that road trip seem to be drifting more and more to the Gulf Coast, and I start seeing signs that say, welcome to Louisiana, that it's really getting time for that GM to step in and tell me that my alignment is really more southwest than northwest. And once I start turning towards Guadalajara, the GM should probably tell me that I'm no longer considered to be heading northwest. The second thing to keep in mind is that each alignment is its own solitary philosophy. Yeah, I'm about to cover what good is in terms of alignment. However, a paladin is lawful good. He's not lawful and good. He is just lawful good, which is wholly separate from, say, chaotic good. Think of 2 proud knights considering a rogue who broke a bunch of falsely accused commoners out of jail. Both of them are lawful. One's lawful neutral, one's lawful good. Both of them are going to agree that these innocent people will have their day in court and that breaking them out of jail was not excusable. Both of them are going to say that the rogue needs to be brought before the judge. Both of them are going to say that the rogue has to face the penalties, no matter what his actual motivation was. However, the one who's lawful good may very well recognize those good intentions and do everything he can to sue for leniency. That is a lawful good character punishing a chaotic good character, but understanding his motivations. It's not a war between his lawful side and his good side. He doesn't have a lawful side and a good side. He only has a lawful good side. All right, with that part out of the way, we can get to the good part. All right, I'll see myself out. Like all alignments, good must have an objective definition in order to function in the confines of the game. While technically you can define good however you like so long as it is consistent within the game and is the opposite of evil and sufficiently broad to represent a 10,000-yard view, in this video we're going to have to cover the classic Dungeons & Dragons definition of good. That is derived from classic fantasy fiction, and it largely reflects and aligns with Judeo-Christian and Western Enlightenment definitions of the same. In a word, good is selfless. A little bit broader than that, good is selfless and sacrificing and puts others first. A good character thinks of the well-being and advancement of others before himself. This is important because it's also where intent and motivation come into play. One commenter on the last video about alignment mechanics presented a very good example, and it's one that I've referenced on other topics before. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6. When giving alms, do not do so blowing trumpets and proclaiming it in the synagogues as the heretics do, but let not the left hand know what the right hand does. If you are doing good actions for personal glory, praise, or rewards, you are not being good. You are being neutral. It could even be one of those places where the evil character actually does good because they feel the benefit of the good act is outweighed by the personal gain that they will get from doing so. That's a little bit more gray area there because, and when we get into evil, we will get into that distinction. But motivation definitely matters in this case, and this is where players tattle on themselves. If your player is sitting at the table thinking of all the ways his character could justify an action that's out of alignment, that shows you that from a motivation standpoint, he's not thinking as his character putting the alignment first. It's putting these other intents first and kind of tattles on themselves. It doesn't mean that to be a good character, that a noble fighter or a kindly wizard has to just go around turning down rewards. It just means that the first thought needs to be for the benefit of others. Bandits are terrorizing the town. Good players are already asking how they can help before any mention of any kind of reward or payment. This dynamic also happens when they're receiving rewards or receiving aid from others. Let's say that your good and noble party goes out to stop the bandits, and on return they find that the townspeople have pooled together all their resources to offer a reward as a thanks for saving them. A good character's first thought should be, does this reward put even more stress on the townsfolk? Can they afford to give us the last of their money after months of bandit raids? Same thing, if a good character is hurting, they're down and out, they're going to say things like, no, take care of those other people first. They're going to look and say, are there enough bandages, enough medical supplies, enough healing spells in this war camp, this army camp to go around? If there's plenty, yeah, sure, go ahead and give me the heal spell. But if we know there's only a couple of cure spells left, we're running tight on resources, the good character is going to tell you to take care of the other people there first, even if that means that he stays hurt. The same kind of goes for found treasure. Sure, the bandit leader's fine longsword or his lieutenant's fancy bow isn't really something that's going to come into much concern. But when they find gold and trade goods in the storehouse, the first thought should be, is this what the town had saved up for the winter? Or at the very least, who rightfully owns this? It should definitely not be, how much can we sell this back to the same villagers for? That may very well be an evil act, not even a neutral act, because you're deliberately making them pay you to give them back their stuff. If you want your glorious time in the spotlight, as a player, not as a character, well, when a battle is getting dire, maybe now's the time for your character to yell to the others to fall back and not worry about you as your character steps into the breach to block the escape. But that's really what it comes down to it when you need to understand how good NPCs and PCs should behave. When a game master is plotting out a new adventure or planning the next session, and they know that they're going to be talking, the players are going to be talking to some neutral good or lawful good or chaotic good, just some good characters in general, that GM should be thinking, this NPC is going to have reactions based on doing the most good for others first, not so much worried about themselves. That's really all there is to it. If you want to understand how good NPCs and PCs should behave, when a circumstance arises, look for what benefits others first and consider overall costs second, and then personal cost should be a distinct, distant third place. Now, here's where the real rub comes in. Here's where the real hard part comes in for most people and for most players, both GMs and player character players. You have to do this for every decision. Remember that alignment is a core, deeply held part of a character's personality. These thoughts aren't conscious considerations that are made when a tense situation arises and something presents itself to the players. They're subconscious calculations that happen 1,000 times a day, of which you're not aware. When you do this, every single time something happens, every decision you make, the back of your head runs through these calculations and asks, should I do this? Should I not do this? What are the ramifications? Do the benefits outweigh the negatives? Are the banes going to outweigh the boons? And when you're good, it's where the focus of that calculation is, putting far more weight on helping other people with far less weight on your own personal gain, and really trying to avoid harm, even if it means giving stuff up yourself. And that's the core of how to use alignment. Players of good PCs get to town, and the first thought is, how can I help the most people? How do I improve lives? Where are the opportunities to give to others? They are subconsciously and actively looking for ways to benefit other people. As a game master, it's about looking at a PC's actions in game and saying, did they put others first? And if so, did they really put others first? Or was it a matter of give a little now, get a lot later? Is this their normal behavior? That goes back to some of the examples we spoke about earlier. On your road trip, you're not making that call about you're no longer moving northwest until you're driving through Louisiana and Texas, and it's pretty damn obvious that you're not going north at all. Same deal when I was talking about intent. If your player, now you do have to separate player from character to some extent. But if your player is constantly trying to find ways to manipulate the situation to quote unquote help others but still benefit them the most, then they're not really being good on balance. You want to look at, is this their normal motivation? Is this their normal behavior? Is this their normal way of doing business, so to speak? The only real exception to that is when a PC acts so wildly and deliberately out of alignment that you kind of have to make a judgment call. But I feel that discussion is more of a how a GM should handle a PC's alignment, and it kind of deserves its own video, so I'll save that for later in this series. For now, don't forget to comment, like, and share the video. Subscribe if you haven't. And don't forget that the Patreon is out there building up funds to restore the 74 Dodge Dart for one lucky member. And I will see you guys next time when we talk about what it means to be evil. Spoiler alert, if evil always needs to be the opposite of good, and good is all about putting others ahead of yourself and preventing harm to other people, even at your own sacrifice or your own loss, what do you think evil's going to be? See you guys next time.